changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration, and today is Wow Wednesday. I'm going to share a cool story with you today. It's about coincidence, answered prayer, and love. And the story is from our book called Chicken Soup for the Soul, Answered Prayers. It's by Jeanette Sharp, and it's called Providential Timing. And here's why. Jeanette tells us that she worked at a hair salon, and one busy Friday, late in the day, she was asked if she would be willing to take on one more client. And she agreed, even though it was going to make for a very long day. It was a regular client named Emily, and Emily's hair was going to take 2.5 hours to do, but Jeanette was up for the challenge. So Emily arrived, and because it was late, gradually the other clients and staff left the hair salon, leaving Jeanette and Emily alone. And they talked, as they always did. And then Emily started reminiscing about her old friend Pat. Emily and Pat had been pregnant at the same time. They had attended the same church. They sang in the choir together. And they were in the same Bible study group. And after their Bible study ended one hot summer day in August, the two had lingered to chat by their cars before heading home. And Jeanette says that Pat seemed to hold on to their parting moments as she gave Emily a farewell hug. And Emily headed for home, but Pat had an errand to run. So Emily got home, and she was already standing at her kitchen sink peeling potatoes when she heard sirens in the distance. She got a weird feeling, and sure enough, later that night, she heard that those sirens had been for Pat. Pat's car had stalled on the railroad tracks. The car had been hit broadside by a train, but Pat didn't die instantly. And the paramedic who sat with her as they sped to the hospital in the ambulance said that Pat was fading in and out of consciousness. But when she was conscious, the paramedic heard her whispering a prayer. I guess she knew she wasn't going to make it, and therefore she was praying, "Please God, send a Christian to raise my children and be a good wife to my husband." So Jeanette heard that story from Emily, that story about Pat, and she went home that night from the hair salon thinking about it and how Pat was thinking about her kids at the end and hoping for a new mother for them. The next morning was Saturday, and Jeanette went back to the hair salon, and her first client was a woman named Olivia, and she was another regular client, but she was never as talkative as Emily. So Jeanette didn't really know much about Olivia, other than that she was devoted to her husband and her 2 children. So Jeanette was working on Olivia's hair that morning, and she was still thinking a lot about the sad story that she had heard about Pat the night before. So to fill in the silence with Olivia, who didn't talk much, Jeanette decided to tell her the story about this woman, Pat, who was hit by the train. Jeanette watched as Olivia listened to her tell the story, and Olivia's smile disappeared, and she started crying, and tears were rolling down her cheeks. And Jeanette felt awful. She apologized to Olivia for making her upset, and she handed her a box of Kleenex. And Olivia wiped her eyes, and she explained why she was so upset. She had heard some of this story before about Pat, but never the part about Pat praying for a new wife for her husband and a new mother for her kids. And then Olivia said to Jeanette, "You see, I'm the one who married Pat's husband, and I'm the one who raised her children." So I love stories like that. We get all of these great stories about coincidences like that. And if you'd like to read more stories like the one I told you today from Chicken Soup for the Soul, Answered Prayers, you can go to our website, chickensoup.com. Now, tomorrow is Thoughtful Thursday, and we're going to switch gears. I'm going to tell you a story that may make you realize that your house has become your boss. We'll talk about what you can do to change that. I'm Amy Newmark. Thank you for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. I hope you'll share it with your friends and family, and you can also rate it and review it on our iTunes page.